The wind howls like a chorus of forgotten spirits as you climb the steep, snow-covered path to High Hrothgar, each step crunching underfoot in the brittle silence. Above you, the ancient monastery looms, its stone walls weathered by centuries of storms and secrets. You're not just a traveler here, you're a seeker, drawn by the whispers of the Greybeards, those elusive masters of the voice, whose knowledge stretches back to the dawn of time itself. And as the cold bites at your skin, you can't help but wonder what truths lie hidden in these hallowed halls. What echoes of the past are waiting to be uncovered, whether you're listening under the glow of a midnight sky or the first light of dawn. We'd love to know, where in the world are you joining us from tonight? Let us know in the comments below and tell us what hour has brought you to this journey into the unknown. There's something undeniably magnetic about the legends of Skyrim, isn't there? Tales of dragons soaring over jagged peaks, of heroes wielding powers lost to time, and of prophecies so old they've nearly faded into myth. But the stories whispered by the Greybeards, those reclusive monks who dwell atop the throat of the world, are different. They speak of a deeper mystery, one woven into the very fabric of Tamriel's history. Their voices carry the weight of ages, and their words hold clues to destinies yet unfulfilled. What if the answers to the greatest questions of this land aren't found in battle or glory, but in the quiet, echoing halls of High Hrothgar? Imagine standing before them, the air thick with the scent of burning sage and old parchment, as they share fragments of a past long buried. The Greybeards don't just recite history, they guard it. And tonight, we're stepping into their world, peeling back the layers of time to uncover the untold legends they've preserved. From the enigmatic prophecies of the Elder Scrolls to the forgotten heroes who once walked these frozen paths, we're about to embark on a journey that will change how you see Skyrim forever. So settle in, let the crackle of the fire and the distant rumble of thunder set the scene, because the secrets of High Hrothgar are waiting, and they're more extraordinary than you've ever dreamed. The towering doors groan as they swing inward, revealing the dim glow of candlelight flickering against stone walls lined with ancient texts. The Greybeards stand motionless, their hooded faces shadowed, yet their presence fills the room like a low, steady hum, the very air vibrating with the power of the voice. You step forward, boots whispering against the worn flagstones, and the eldest among them extends a hand, palm upturned. Prove yourself. His voice rumbles, not as a challenge, but as an invitation, a key to unlock the secrets buried in these halls. The scent of aged parchment and smoldering juniper coils around you, carrying whispers of long-dead tongues, of words so potent they could shape the world. This is no ordinary trial. To earn the right to hear their stories, you must show that you understand the weight of what they guard. That knowledge, like the thumb, is not given lightly. Beyond the flickering torches, the monastery stretches into darkness, its corridors filled with echoes of those who came before. Some sought wisdom, others power, but only a few were deemed worthy. The Greybeards do not test with blades or brute strength. Their trials are woven into the silence between words, the pauses between breaths. They watch, listening not just to what you say, but to the intent behind it. Do you reach for knowledge to conquer or to comprehend? The storm still rages outside, but here, time itself feels suspended, as if the walls remember every soul who has ever crossed this threshold. And then the silence breaks. One of the Greybeards speaks a single word, a syllable that shivers through your bones, not with force, but with meaning. It's a fragment of the old tongue, a piece of the world's first language. Your response will determine everything. Do you echo it back with reverence, or does it slip through your grasp, lost to the weight of history? The legends of High Hrothgar are not merely tales, they are living threads in the tapestry of Skyrim's fate. And now, the choice is yours. Will you become part of that story, or will the storm outside claim you like so many before? The moment your foot crosses the threshold into the chamber, the air changes thick, heavy, as if the darkness itself is holding its breath. The Greybeards vanish into the gloom, leaving you alone with the faint glow of ancient runes carved into the floor, their symbols pulsing like a slow heartbeat. You open your mouth to call out, but no sound comes, not because you've been silenced, but because you suddenly understand. Here, words are more than sound. They are sparks that could ignite the past. Shadows twist along the walls, forming shapes that almost resemble faces, figures frozen mid-whisper, their mouths open in silent warnings. The runes beneath your feet aren't mere markings, they're thresholds. Step wrongly, and the echoes of those who failed before you rise like mist, their phantom voices hissing fragments of forgotten tongues. A misplaced breath, a rustle of fabric too loud, and the chamber responds, the very stones trembling as if stirred from sleep. This isn't just a test of silence, it's a dance with memory itself. Time stretches thin in this place. Minutes feel like hours as you inch forward, muscles tense, ears straining against the weight of quiet. The runes shift under your gaze, their meanings sliding just beyond reach. One tells of a king who spoke too soon and drowned in his own hubris. Another whispers of a thief who stole silence and found it choking him. Each step is a choice. To rush is to risk waking what shouldn't be stirred, but to hesitate is to let the chamber's pressure crush your resolve. Then comes the cruelest test of voice. Not yours, not the Greybeards, but something older. It curls around you, sweet as honey, urging you to answer, to prove you're worthy by breaking the one rule that keeps you safe. The temptation burns like thirst. What if just one word could unlock everything? But the runes flicker a warning, and in their light, you see the truth. This voice isn't offering knowledge. It's a snare, woven from the same threads that doom the faces in the walls. The chamber isn't judging your strength. It's measuring your respect. For the power of words, for the weight of history, for the silence that guards both. And as you finally reach the far door, the runes flare once, then dim. No fanfare, no applause, just the faintest shift in the air, like a sigh of approval. The Greybeards wait beyond, their eyes knowing you've passed, but the real lesson lingers. Sometimes the most profound truths aren't spoken. They're heard in the spaces between. Arnger's voice cuts through the hush like a blade parting mist, low and measured, yet carrying the weight of mountains. Long before the Empire's banners flew over these valleys, he begins, fingers tracing the edge of an age-worn tome. Another wanderer climbed these steps, not with steel in hand, but with a song on their lips. The firelight gutters as if in reverence, casting shadows that twist into the shape of wings against the stone. You lean closer, the name Dragonborn humming in your veins like a half-remembered melody. The tale unfolds like parchment smoothed by careful hands. Centuries passed. A figure clad in tattered robes stood where you now stand, their hands empty, but their throat alive with the thumb's power, not the thunderous shouts of war, but whispers that could coax stone to speak and glaciers to sigh. They sought neither throne nor glory. Arnjer murmurs, his gaze sharpening as it meets yours. Only understanding. The implication hangs between you, heavy as the monastery's ancient beams. What does it mean to bear the dragon's blood, if not to conquer? The answer lies coiled in the next part of the story, but the Greybeard hesitates, his next words deliberate. They learn the tongue of the wind itself, he continues, and in doing so, uncovered a truth that shattered their purpose like brittle ice. The chamber seems to contract around you, the very air resisting the revelation. Legends speak of the dragon, born as saviors, as warriors. But this, a secret so potent, it could unravel the song of creation itself. Arnjer's hand lifts, not in warning, but in resignation. Some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. Some knowledge is a weight too great for mortal shoulders. Outside, the storm howls anew, its fury muffled by thick stone walls. Yet here, in this circle of flickering light, the real tempest stirs. The Dragonborn of Arnjer's tale didn't fall to blade or spell. They vanished into the snow one twilight, leaving only a single word carved into the monastery's foundation. A word no Greybeard has dared to utter since. Your fingers twitch with the urge to trace those letters yourself, to pry loose what was buried, but the old monk's next words freeze your blood. The stone remembers, and it waits. Silence swallows the room once more, thicker now, viscous with unspoken warnings. The fire pops, sending up a spiral of embers that die before they reach the ceiling. You came seeking answers, but the past has teeth, and this legend, it bites back. The syllable strikes your tongue like frozen iron, bitter, heavy, unwilling to be shaped. Your first attempt barely disturbs the dust at your feet, but the echo of it lingers in your skull, rattling your teeth. The Greybeards watch, their silence more telling than any critique. This isn't just a word, it's a living thing, coiled tight around the bones of the world, and it resists being wrenched free. Each repetition leaves you weaker, your breath ragged, fingers trembling against your thighs. The power is there, you feel it thrumming in the air between your lips and the stone floor, but it slips through your grasp like smoke. One of the monks finally speaks, his voice as dry as ancient vellum. The voice does not serve, it is served. The truth of it stings. You came thinking to command this power, but the word commands you. Its weight presses down, demanding reverence, patience, the humility to listen before speaking. Something shifts on your 20th try. The syllable no longer fights you. It breathes with you, rising from your chest like a shared secret. The air shivers. A single flagstone cracks, spider webbing outward from the point where your voice touched it. The Greybeards exchange glances you can't decipher. This should feel like victory, but the taste in your mouth is strangely hollow. What have you stirred? What debt have you taken on without knowing? The eldest steps forward, his hand hovering above the fractured stone. This, he says quietly, is how dragons are born. Not from fire or scale, but from the moment a mortal understands, truly understands, that words are not tools, they are covenants. The runes on the walls seem to pulse in agreement, their light deepening as twilight bleeds through the high windows. You came seeking strength, but the real lesson is far more dangerous. Every word of power is a thread pulled from the fabric of the world, and now you've begun to weave. The parchment crackles under your fingertips, brittle as autumn leaves, each line of faded ink, a thread in a tapestry, older than the very stones of High Hrothgar. Arnger's hands hover above the scroll, his voice barely louder than the sigh of wind through the monastery's cracks. Listen, he murmurs, not with your ears, but with your bones. The verse he recites is a knot of contradictions, a storm described as silent, a flame said to freeze, a shadow that shines brighter than the sun. The words slither through your mind, refusing to take shape, yet something in your blood hums in recognition, as if your veins remember what your mind cannot. One of the younger greybeards shifts, his robes whispering against the floor. Prophecies are not puzzles to be solved, he says, eyes fixed on the trembling candle between you. They are mirrors. What you see in them reveals more about you than the future. The scroll's edges crumble further as you turn it, exposing a hidden layer beneath. A map, perhaps, or a constellation. Its lines connecting points that don't exist in any sky you've known. The ink glints oddly, like mica and rock, shifting when viewed from the corner of your eye. Arnger exhales sharply, as if bracing for a blow. The last to read these words was Jurgen Windcaller. He admits, the name landing like a hammer stroke. He burned his armor after, swore never to lift a sword again. The implication coils around you. What kind of prophecy could unmake the father of the way of the voice? The answer lies in the next stanza, but the ink there is smudged, blurred by what might be tears or blood. You lean closer, and the room tilts, the letters rearranging themselves into a single, searing command. Remember. The silence that follows is suffocating. Even the wind stills, as if the mountain itself is holding its breath. The greybeards exchange glances laden with something heavier than fear. Resignation, maybe, or sorrow. They've known this truth all along, haven't they? The prophecy isn't about a calamity to come. It's about one that's already here, woven into the fabric of the world so completely that no one notices it anymore. The real riddle isn't in the words. It's in realizing you've been standing in the storm's eye all along. A gust slams against the shutters, startling the candle into a frenzy of shadows. Arnger's hand closes over yours, halting your fingers before they can trace the final line. Some doors, he says softly, stay shut for a reason, but the parchment is alive now, vibrating with a current that prickles your skin. The last words glow faintly, seeping into your fingertips like ink into blotting paper. You don't read them, they rid you, and what they find sends a shiver down your spine that has nothing to do with the cold. The fire gutters suddenly, though no window stands open to admit the wind. Shadows stretch unnaturally long across the flagstones, and the scent of frostbite blooms in the air, sharp, metallic, wrong for a place so carefully shielded from the mountain's bite. Then, a breath against your neck that isn't yours. You turn, slow, and there, between one blink and the next, a figure coalesces from the gloom, its edges blurred like ink in water. The robes are unmistakably greybeard, but threadbare, spectral, the fabric dissolving into mist where the hem should brush the floor. Its face is worse. Not decayed, not monstrous, but hollow features smoothed by time like a statue worn by rain. Yet the eyes burn with a clarity that pins you in place, pupils dilated black against the eerie glow of its form. When it speaks, the voice is layered a chorus of whispers, some young, some old, all fraying at the edges. You hear the mountain song. It murmurs, though its lips don't move. But do you hear the silence between the notes? The greybeards are gone, not vanished, simply absent, as if they were never here at all. The spectral figure drifts closer, and the cold intensifies, seeping into your joints, your lungs, your thoughts. Memories not your own flicker at the edges of your vision. A hand clutching a shattered amulet, a snowdrift stained crimson, a word half shouted into a storm. The ghost isn't haunting the monastery, it's haunting you. Finish it, the spirit pleads, and now you see the wound. A jagged tear in its chest, not bleeding but breathing, pulsing with each syllable. This isn't just any greybeard. This is someone who fell mid-shout, their voice severed before the power could be released. Unfinished words are the most dangerous kind. They fester, they echo, and now their weight settles on your tongue like a blade balanced on its edge. The ghost extends a translucent hand, and in its palm rests a single, perfect snowflake frozen in time, edges gleaming like glass. The first word was mine, it sighs. The last must be yours. But the snowflake isn't just ice. It's a syllable given form, a note from the world's first song. To speak it would be to complete what the ghost could not. To refuse would bind its regret to your bones forever. The choice is yours, but the monastery holds its breath. Even the stones know, some silences are louder than shouts. The blizzard screams against the monastery walls, a living thing that claws at the stone with frozen fingers, but the storm inside you rages louder. The greybeards sit in a circle around you, their stillness a stark contrast to the chaos beyond these walls, and within your chest, their voices, when they speak, don't rise above the wind. They don't need to. Power is a river, Arnjar murmurs, his hands resting palm up on his knees. Drink too deeply, and you drown. Refuse to drink, and you wither. The words settle over you like snowfall, gentle but inescapable. You close your eyes, but the darkness behind your lids isn't empty. It's alive with visions, dragons spiraling in the sky, their wings slicing through clouds, their voices shaking the earth. You could have that. The knowledge thrums in your veins, a heady promise. One shout, raw and unfettered, and the mountains themselves might bow. The temptation burns like a brand, searing away reason. What's the use of power if you don't wield it? What's the purpose of a voice if you don't raise it? But then, another image surfaces. A lone figure, robed and weathered, standing atop the throat of the world. Not shouting, but listening. The wind carries words to them, old words, words that have forgotten their own meaning. And in that silence, they find something far rarer than strength, understanding. The greybeards don't move, but you feel their presence like anchors in the tempest. They've seen this struggle before, in every soul who's ever climbed these steps. The voice isn't just a weapon, it's a bridge between past and present, between mortal and myth. To cross it requires more than strength. It demands surrender. The blizzard howls on, but the storm inside you begins to quiet. Not fading, not dying, just shifting, like snow settling after an avalanche. The power is still there, coiled and waiting, but it no longer threatens to swallow you whole. You inhale, and the air tastes different, cleaner, lighter. The greybeards exhale as one, a sound like distant thunder rolling away. They don't praise you. They don't need to. The silence says enough. You haven't mastered the voice, but for the first time, you've let it master you, and that, perhaps, is the real lesson. Arnger's hands tremble as he unfurls the brittle scroll, its edges flaking like old bark. "We do not speak of this," he murmurs, but the weight in his voice betrays him. The parchment tells a story the Greybeards have spent lifetimes burying, not of unity, but of fracture. Centuries ago, when the monastery's stones were still new, their order split like ice under too much weight. Some believed the voice was a gift to shape the world. Others swore it was a sacred trust, never to be wielded. The debate turned to whispers, then to shouts, until one fateful night, when the very walls of High Hrothgar shook with the force of their discord. The hidden chamber isn't marked on any map. You find it by accident, your fingers brushing a crack in the stone that shouldn't exist, a seam too straight, too deliberate. The moment you press against it, the rock groans inward, revealing a staircase spiraling down into blackness. The air that rises is stale, thick with the scent of old ink and something sharper, like lightning frozen in time. Each step downward feels heavier than the last, as if the stairs themselves resist being remembered. Then the darkness shifts, not with light, but with sound fragments of voices arguing, pleading, roaring in languages both familiar and forgotten. The chamber isn't empty. It's haunted by echoes, their words etched into the stone like scars. One phrase repeats, snarled in a voice ragged with fury. To speak is to change. To withhold is to wither. The conflict wasn't just philosophical. It was visceral, a rift that nearly tore the Greybeards apart. The evidence surrounds you, claw marks scoring the walls where someone tried to carve their truth into unyielding rock. A shattered meditation bench, its pieces still scattered as if the fight ended mid-blow. At the chamber's heart lies a single, perfect circle, scored into the floor, its edges blackened as if by fire. This is where it happened, where the dissenters stood face to face, their shouts colliding with enough force to crack the mountain's bones. The schism didn't end in compromise. It ended in silence. The scrolls call it the stillness, the moment the Greybeards chose to lock away their anger rather than let it destroy them. But silence isn't absolution. It's a mask, and now, centuries later, the mask is slipping. The final test isn't one of skill, but of empathy. To move forward, you must stand in that scorched circle and listen not to the loudest echo, but to the quietest. Beneath the rage, beneath the dogma, there's a third voice, barely a whisper. It speaks neither of mastery nor surrender, but of balance. The voice is a bridge. It sighs, but a bridge goes both ways. The Greybeards' greatest lesson isn't in their unity. It's in the fractures they've learned to carry. And as the echoes finally fade, you understand. The real power was never in choosing a side. It was in holding the tension between them. The steps descend deeper than the mountain's roots, each one colder than the last, until the air itself feels heavy with the weight of unspoken stories. Your torch gutters, not from wind, there is none here, but from the sheer presence of what lingers in this place. The Hall of Echoes isn't carved from rock. It's carved from time. The walls don't just whisper. They breathe, exhaling fragments of lives you've never lived yet somehow remember. A handprint smeared in ancient ash. The hilt of a broken blade, its edge still singing with the ghost of a battle cry. These aren't relics. They're echoes, trapped in the stone like insects in amber. One step, then another. The visions come softly, at first a flash of crimson banners, the scent of damp fur and iron, then louder. A figure in tattered robes kneels before you, their hands pressed to the floor, their lips moving in a silent plea. You reach out, and your fingers pass through them like mist, but the despair they carried lingers, sticky as cobwebs. This was a Dragonborn, though no scrolls bear their name. Their shout wasn't enough to save them, or perhaps it was too much. The further you go, the less you trust your own senses. The floor pulses beneath your boots, alive with the rhythm of forgotten heartbeats. Shadows detach themselves from the walls, taking the shape of figures, some armored, some robed, all staring at you with eyes that hold the same unspoken question. Would you have done differently? Their failures aren't just history, they're lessons, etched into the very bones of High Hrothgar. A warrior who mistook the voice for a weapon lies frozen in a snarl of rage, their final shout turned inward. A scholar who sought to unravel the thumb, like a thread, now kneels with their hands over their ears, as if the words themselves became a cacophony they couldn't escape. Then the cruelest vision, yourself, not as you are, but as you might be, face hollowed by time, standing at the edge of a cliff, with the wind screaming through your ribs. Is this a warning, a prophecy, or simply the mountain's way of asking if you're certain you want to know the price of power? The line between memory and reality doesn't just blur here. It shatters, the hall doesn't judge, it shows, and as you finally reach the chamber's heart, the torch sputters out, leaving you in darkness so complete it feels like the moment before creation. Then a single word forms in the silence, not spoken aloud, but etched directly into your thoughts. Remember, not the past, not the future, but the now. Because every Dragonborn who walked this path thought they were the exception, and the echoes, they're what's left of the ones who were wrong. The door creaks open not with sound, but with absence, as if the very air parts to make way for the figure standing in the threshold. Robes hang loose on their frame, the fabric so worn it seems to dissolve at the edges, fraying into the shadows of the corridor. This is the Keeper, not a title, not a role, but a truth worn into their skin like grooves in old stone. Their hands cradle a scroll, but it's the eyes that catch you, pale as glacier ice, holding a depth that makes your stomach tighten. Those eyes have seen the unseeable. And now they see you. The scroll hums in their grip, a vibration so low it resonates in your teeth. To mend a fate is to unravel its threads, the Keeper says, voice like wind through dead grass. The parchment isn't inscribed with ink, but with something darker, veins of obsidian swirling into characters that writhe when you blink. Legends whisper of a shout so potent it could stitch time itself back together, but the Keeper's smile is knife-thin. Power is a mirror, they murmur. What you fix, you must first break. Then comes the trial. No roaring flames, no clashing steel. Just the Keeper stepping aside, revealing a pool of black water at the chamber's center. Its surface doesn't reflect the torches. It reflects you, but not as you are. 100 fractured versions stare back, each carrying the weight of choices unmade. The cowardice you disguised as caution, the cruelty you called justice, the moment you turned away when you should have spoken. The water doesn't judge, it shows, and the worst part, the reflections aren't lies, they're possibilities. The Keeper's breath ghosts over your shoulder. To mend a thread, you must hold both ends, they say, pressing the scroll into your hands. It burns cold, the obsidian letters searing into your skin. The price isn't pain, it's remembrance. Every wound you've caused, every kindness withheld, every time you chose the easy path over the right one. They'll all rise like ghosts, whispering the question you've spent a lifetime avoiding. Who are you, truly, when no one is watching? Silence stretches thick as tar. The keeper doesn't rush you. They know what you're realizing. The lost shout isn't a tool. It's a reckoning. To wield it, you must first face the cracks in your own soul, not with shame, but with the terrible clarity of dawn light on a battlefield. The scroll pulses once, twice, then stills. Waiting, the choice is yours. But remember, some doors once opened cannot be closed, and some truths once seen cannot be unseen. The wind doesn't howl here. It screams, ripping at your cloak with invisible fingers as you stand at the chasm's edge. Below, the darkness yawns wide, a gap so deep, the cold rising from it makes your bones ache. This isn't just a test of strength, it's a test of trust. The Greybeard's words echo in your mind. The voice is not a hammer, it is a chisel. One wrong syllable, one misplaced breath, and the power you summon could shatter the air itself, and you along with it. The first attempt is instinctive. You roar the word for bridge with all your might, but the shout tears through the chasm like a blade, scattering loose stones into the void. The gap remains. The Greybeards don't scold. They don't need to. Their silence is lesson enough. Brute force won't carve a path here. You close your eyes, listening past the wind, past the thunder of your own heartbeat, to the quiet hum beneath it all, the whisper of the earth itself, patient and unyielding. The second try is softer, the syllables shaped not with your lungs, but with your ribs, your spine, the soles of your feet rooted to the stone. This time, the word doesn't crash. It unfolds, delicate as a spider's web, threading itself across the abyss. For a breathless moment, nothing happens. Then the air shimmers, molecules knitting together into something solid, something alive. The bridge isn't stone or wood. It's made of sound itself, vibrating under your fingertips like the string of a lute plucked by unseen hands. Crossing feels like stepping onto a cloud. Each footfall sends ripples through the bridge, the note beneath you shifting from a low drone to a high, crystalline hum. Halfway across, the wind stills. The world holds its breath, and then the real test. The bridge begins to fray, not from weakness, but from choice. It's waiting for you to listen, to match your voice to its song, to prove you understand that true mastery isn't about bending the world to your will. It's about harmonizing with it. The final step isn't taken with your feet. It's taken with your throat, with a whisper so quiet, it's barely a breath. The bridge solidifies, not because you commanded it, but because you answered it. As your boot meets solid ground on the far side, the structure dissolves behind you, its purpose fulfilled. The Greybeards nod, their eyes gleaming with something deeper than approval. They're not just witnessing your skill, they're witnessing your surrender to the voice, to the mountain, to the truth that some gaps can't be crossed by force, only by reverence. Arnger's hands tremble as he lifts the ancient horn from its resting place. The bone yellowed with age, the carvings along its surface worn smooth by centuries of fearful fingertips. Even dragons fear this name, he murmurs, and the firelight gutters as if the very air recoils. Alduin, the word hangs between you like a blade unsheathed. Not just a dragon, but the firstborn of Akatosh, the world eater whose wings once blotted out the sun. The Greybeards' voices drop lower, their tones weaving a tapestry of dread. How the Nords of old sacrificed whole villages to appease him. how the tongue's mightiest shouts barely slowed his hunger, how he vanished not in defeat, but by some design darker than death. The realization crashes over you like a wave of ice. Those dreams of fire and falling weren't just nightmares. They were memories, not yours, but his. The Dragonborn wasn't just meant to speak with the voice. You were meant to answer the one who first taught mortals to fear it. The weight of it presses down, stealing your breath. How can you stand against something that devours time itself? Parthenax's name surfaces like a lifeline. The Greybeards speak of him rarely, and never without a glance toward the summit. The last of Alduin's lieutenants, who turned against his master and taught men to shout, but the old dragon's motives are as inscrutable as the wind. Can a creature of such primal hunger truly change? Or is his aid merely the pause between one feast and the next? The questions coil around you, suffocating as smoke. Then comes the cruelest truth. Alduin's return isn't just a calamity. It's a correction. The scrolls hint at it, their ink fading where the words grow too dire to read aloud. The World Eater doesn't ravage out of malice. He cleanses because it is his nature, because some worlds are meant to end so others may begin. The Greybeards don't weep. They don't rage. They simply wait, their faces lined with the quiet resignation of those who have seen the tide and know they cannot stop it. But you're the pebble in the tide's path, the impossible variable. The Greybeard's eyes find yours, and in their silence, you hear the unspoken challenge. Will you break beneath this truth, or will you force the world to bend? The horn trembles in your grip, its hollow mouth whispering of the tempest to come. Outside, the wind rises, carrying the scent of burning stone. Somewhere beyond the clouds, wings beat like a second heartbeat. And the mountain, ancient as it is, holds its breath. Your fingers brush the alcove's edge, dislodging centuries of dust, and the stones beneath your palm vibrate, not with decay, but with memory. The mural awakens in fragments, first a claw, then a wing, then the sinuous curve of a dragon's spine, carved so deep it seems to writhe in the flickering torchlight. The battle depicted here isn't the grand clash of legends. It's intimate, desperate mortals, not with gleaming swords, but with hands outstretched, their mouths open in silent screams. And the dragons, they aren't soaring, they're falling. The whispers begin as a prickle at the base of your skull, soft as spider silk. At first, you mistake them for the wind, but the air in this chamber is dead still. Then the carvings move, not the stone itself, but the shadows within the grooves, pooling like ink before resolving into shapes' faces, twisted in agony or ecstasy, their lips forming words your ears can't quite catch. One figure stands apart from the rest, their features blurred, as if time itself refuses to remember them, yet their hand is pressed to the mural center, where a single word is etched in a script that makes your eyes water to look upon. You reach out, and the moment your fingertip grazes the first letter, the chamber vanishes, or perhaps you do. The world fractures into sound, not a shout, but the echo of one, stretched thin across millennia. It's not a word of power, it's a word of unmaking. The vision comes in flashes, a dragon mid-flight, its wings snapping backward as if yanked by invisible chains. A mortal crumpling to their knees, their throat torn open not by claws, but by the force of their own voice. The shout isn't a weapon, it's a bargain. To wield it, you must surrender something, not gold, Not blood, but a memory. Not just any memory, the one that anchors you. The mural's central figure turns their head, and though the stone face has no eyes, you feel their gaze pierce you. To break a fate, the stones sigh, you must first break yourself. The choice hangs before you, sharp as a dagger's edge. That forgotten figure, they weren't a hero. They were the first to try and fail. The mural isn't a celebration. It's a warning, written in the only language power understands, sacrifice. And now, the whispers coil around your wrists, patient as serpents, waiting to see if you'll repeat history or rewrite it. The chamber hums before a single word is spoken, the air thickening like honey as Arnger motions you forward. The greybeards form a circle, their hooded faces tilted upward, their breaths sinking into one slow, deliberate rhythm. You've faced trials of silence, of power, of memory, but this is different. Their voices don't rise, they unfold, each syllable peeling back layers of the world like skin from fruit, revealing the raw pulse beneath. The first note shakes your ribs. It's not a sound you hear. It's one you become, vibrating through your marrow, resonating in the hollows of your teeth. The chant isn't just words. It's a living thing, older than the mountains, older than the gods, and it demands more than your voice. It demands your surrender. One by one, the greybeards add their threads to the tapestry, their tones weaving together, deep earth, crackling flame, rushing wind, until the very stones seem to sing along. Then comes your turn. The pause stretches, taut as a bowstring. To join is to step into a current that could sweep you away. To hesitate is to break the chain. You open your mouth, and what emerges isn't your voice alone. It's the whisper of every Dragonborn who stood here before you, their echoes lending weight to your words. The chant swells, the room trembling like a struck bell, and for a heartbeat, you're not just speaking the words, you're remembering them as if they've always lived inside you, waiting to be woken. But the harmony is fragile. One misstep, one faltering note, and the threads unravel. The greybeard's eyes bore into you, not with judgment, but with a terrible, aching hope. They've seen this moment before, the fraying edge where promise meets limitation. The chant isn't testing your skill, it's testing your belonging. Do you bend the voice to your will, or do you let it bend you? The final syllable hangs in the air, shimmering like heat off stone. The silence that follows isn't empty. It's alive, humming with the aftershock of power. Arnger's hands rise, palms upturned, and in his gaze, you see the truth. This was never about mastery. It was about kinship. The voice isn't a weapon or a tool. It's a bridge between you and the mountain, between the past and the now, between the mortal who climbed these steps and the legacy waiting to claim you. The greybeards don't applaud. They don't need to. The way the torchlight catches their tears says enough. The vision crashes over you like a tidal wave. One moment, the monastery's familiar stones surround you. The next, you're adrift in a sky choked with smoke and the sound of wings. Not just any wings, his wings. Alduin's shadow blots out the sun as he circles above a world rent apart. Rivers boiling to steam, mountains crumbling like sandcastles beneath his roar. But the horror isn't in the destruction, it's in the flicker of recognition. The way the world eater's gaze locks onto yours, not with fury, but with something eerily akin to pride. Then the scene fractures, another sky, another time. The same voice that shattered cities now stitches them back together, stone rising from rubble at the command of a whisper. Farmers till fields where dragonfire once scorched the earth. Children laugh in tongues long forgotten, and the thumb isn't a weapon, it's a plowshare. A bridge, a hand extended. The contrast is so stark, it steals your breath. Two futures balanced on the edge of a single choice. Your choice. The Greybeard's silence isn't indifference. It's reverence. They've seen this moment before, in the trembling hands of countless seekers who stood where you now stand. Arnger's gaze holds yours, and for the first time, you notice the scars webbing his palms not from blades, but from the weight of words too potent to release. The voice does not judge. He murmurs, though his lips don't move. It only answers. The vision's grip loosens, but the weight remains. This isn't prophecy. It's reflection. The power coiled in your throat was never the question. The true trial lies in the why. Will you shout to drown out the world's pain, or to harmonize with it? The stones of High Hrothgar remember every soul who faced this crossroads. Some became legends, others became warnings, and now, as the last echoes of the vision fade, the mountain waits to see which you'll be. The wind dies first, not gradually, but all at once, as if the mountain itself has drawn a breath and held it. Your boots stand rooted to the stone, not from fear, but from something deeper, older. The air hums against your skin, charged with the weight of centuries pressing down, waiting. This isn't just a peak, it's a threshold, and beyond it, the line between legend and flesh dissolves. You open your mouth, and the shout tears free, not from your lungs, but from your bones. The sound isn't loud, it's vast, a ripple in the fabric of the world, unspooling across the valley below in waves that make the snow leap like startled birds. The mountain shudders, not in protest, but in recognition. Stones long frozen crack and shift, their fractures tracing ancient runes only the earth remembers. And then, the echoes, not fading, but multiplying, each rebound layering new meaning into the word until it's no longer just a sound. It's a key, turning in a lock you didn't know existed. The revelation crashes over you, the Greybeard's trials, the whispers in the dark, the visions. None of them were preparing you to wield power. They were preparing you to recognize it. The voice wasn't sleeping inside you. It was always there, coiled around your ribs like a second heartbeat, waiting for you to stop fighting and listen. Below, the clouds part, revealing Skyrim sprawled like a tapestry, the jagged teeth of the Reach, the emerald folds of the Rift, the distant glint of rivers stitching the land together. From this height, the wars and worries of mortals seem small, fragile, but the echo of your shout lingers, weaving through the valleys, and you realize with a jolt, the land is answering. Not in words, but in shifts of falcon, banking sharply east, a distant avalanche stilling mid-fall, the scent of frost flowers blooming where none grew before. The Greybeards emerge from the shadows, their hoods thrown back, faces upturned to the sky. They don't bow, they don't kneel, but their eyes, their eyes hold a light you've never seen before. Not reverence, not even pride, something quieter, fiercer, acknowledgement. You've crossed the rift they spent lifetimes guarding, and now the stories they preserved aren't just tales to recite. They're threads, and you've pulled one loose. The moment stretches, thin as ice, until Arnger steps forward. His hand hovers above your shoulder, not touching, but close enough that you feel the warmth. Do you hear it now? He murmurs, not the shout, not the wind, the silence after, the space where all things begin. And as the first snow of the evening begins to fall, you do. The descent is quieter than the climb, not just because the wind has stilled, or because the greybeards' voices have faded into the stone behind you, but because something in you has settled, like snow finding its final resting place. The weight of their words doesn't press down. It hums low and steady, a new pulse beneath your ribs. You pause halfway down the path, turning to glance back at High Hrothgar, its peaks shrouded in mist. It looks smaller now, or perhaps you've grown. The world below stretches out, vibrant and restless. The golden sprawl of Whiterun's fields, the distant glint of riverbends, the smoke rising from hearths you'll never know. It's the same sky you left behind, yet everything beneath it feels altered. The greybeards didn't just teach you to shout, they taught you to listen, to the land, to the past, to the quiet spaces between breaths where truth gathers like dew. A raven croaks overhead, its shadow darting across the rocks, and for a heartbeat, you hear Parthenax's voice again. What is better, to be born good, or to overcome your nature through great effort? The question lingers, not as a challenge, but as a companion. You carry it with you now, along with the scent of burning sage and the memory of runes glowing beneath your fingertips. The first village you reach is alive with noise, children shrieking over a game of tag, a blacksmith's hammer ringing against steel, a bard's lute plucking out a tune you don't recognize. No one looks up as you pass. No one senses the storm coiled in your throat or the centuries of whispers tucked behind your ears. And that, perhaps, is the greatest lesson of all. Power isn't in the knowing. It's in the choosing when to speak, when to stay silent, when to let the world spin on without your hand upon it. The road ahead forks, one path winding toward the jagged spires of the Reach, the other dipping into the pine-scented shadows of Falkreath. You hesitate, not from uncertainty, but from something richer, the understanding that every step is a thread in a story far older than yourself. The greybeards' voices may fade, but their echoes remain, woven into the wind, the stone, the very blood in your veins. You adjust your pack, feeling the weight of the horn armchair pressed into your hands at dawn, its surface still warm from the firelight, not a trophy. Not a weapon, a reminder. Some doors stay shut for a reason. Others are waiting for you to find the key. The sun climbs higher, painting the snowcaps in gold, and as you step onto the path, the mountain exhales behind you, its secrets tucked safe beneath your tongue. you.